What is going on YouTube? This is Acid Root. So I'm going to review a 2011 album by Lord Infamous. Basically, this product is called Scarecrow the Terrible, and it came out in the fall of 2011. Now, this is a particular kind of carnivorous type project here within the pitch behind it. It's been a little bit since I've reviewed like a full-bound kind of horrorcore album, like up the alley of folks like Juicy J and DJ Paul, King Gordy, Bizarre, some of those particular type folks that does Tech 9, in certain senses, Chris Calco, that do that to a particular T as far as what's going to happen. But this is really amidst it. Lord Infamous was a cat. Now, he is deceased for folks that didn't know within the pitch. Unfortunate aspect, wholesomely within that aspect there. But he did particularly do a number of songs with DJ Paul. And I remember him from a good fair back in the day when he was on DJ Paul's Scale a Ton album from 2009, a whole bunch. Basically, DJ Paul had Lord Infamous as like a wingman on that album, on his 2009 album, and Juicy J had his brother Project Pat on his particular album from 2009, so it's within the pitch that they both had wingmen within those aspects, just to check out both of those. But I've known about Lord Infamous. I've at least bought one of his albums in the past, but I did not mess with terribly many like I probably should have back in those days, and that it actually predates like the concept of this particular YouTube channel when I was messing with Lord Infamous. I particularly do remember like a little bit of the stuff that he did with the Mafia 6 when they reunited 3-6 Mafia, but also within the pitch that is like a particular album. I think it was his 2012 album that I was going to mess with in like June, July of 2015 at Acid Roots when I first made this channel as far as this first happened. So definite throwback traits within some of those type pitches within the aspect here. But I wanted to get to this one, and as figured, it is a knockout punch within the fair behind it. This album's going to get a 10 out of 10 within the pitch. It's vicious kind of horrorcore to a T as far as what's first going to happen. Good stuff. Good stock product. It's too bad that DJ Paul isn't on any of the songs on here, but it is basically like one of those type ones within pitch. Very similar to Brother Lynch Hung. Now, there's not really terrible much commercial bounds within pitch, but there are at least a few moments that have within a relative type sense. It's actually interesting getting horrorcore kind of makeshift within some of those type fairs, because judging by the ghastliness that Lord Infamous typically depicts, and you can probably tell some of this particular fair just by the album cover with like the deranged kind of scarecrows just within pitch, as far as saying that it doesn't. This is a project that you can't expect commonplace to kind of come up for air as far as what's first going to happen. It's not going to be like Eminem reaching for the stars with Relapse, some of those type pitches, some of those particular type formats. Not terribly many pop rap radio grabs. I mean, there is a little bit of relative. There's a mild bit of horrorcore makeshift within the pitches. It's mostly rooted in horrorcore. That's kind of a mixture of 3-6 Mafia from like the 90s, a little bit of 2000s type fare. It's not as much of a full-bound kind of southern album, but it's just more rooted in like the horrorcore kind of days, like Crazy in the Last Days, some of those 3-6 Mafia albums, like Mystic style, some of those type pitches when they're just more missed that aspect. So it's a good type fair, excellent type pitch within that horrorcore classic, easy enough to see here. Kind of one that definitely deserves the acclaim within some of those type fairs. The unfortunate thing about it is I don't know if there was a single off this project. It's kind of low key within the sense Lord Infamous was large enough to put out albums as far as those first can happen, but I don't know if he reached the point, at least on like his 2012 and 2013 albums. Lord Infamous passed in late 2013, but within the pitch, his 2012-2013 albums at least designated that he had a couple of singles within some of those type fairs. So he did start to catch on a lot later within the pitch, but just within the pitch that he does have some albums that date pretty far back within the pitch behind. So it's excellent type fair. Just as far as being able to say here, there's not terribly many guests on here. Like, originally I was almost thinking that it's interesting that there's a folk on here called Manson Family. Not really as full-bound sure where that comes from. It's on the song Addict, but it's not Marilyn Manson if you're thinking it was. Be a nice touch if it was, but it isn't. And then there's like a cat on this album that pops up a couple times named Lil Jack, and then there's Kingpin, Skinny Pimp, and then a cat named T-Rock. So it's just within fair as far as saying. So basic concept about this album, the only song I don't recommend in any fashion, there's 15 songs on here minus the 3 skits, narrows it down to 12. Out of the 12 songs on here, the only song I don't recommend in any fashion is Just Get You Touched. Which, to talk about that one, this is just kind of like a horrorcore type version of like a song by Oh Let's. It's like a horrorcore type version of like a song like Oh Let's Do It by Waka Flocka. Kind of just more militant and street soldier type territory in like a horrorcore type sense, but just the bravado about that particular song was just not as connecting enough to really get to that particular fair. So other than that, this album gets a 10 out of 10. This would have to say within the pitch. So I'll just go down the list with some of these. A real particular commercial type one within a relative type sense. I mean, it is pretty drudgy, but it works for like the aspect of like the aspect of like the relative kind of dark gloss that it has is wow. This is like a Solomon Malaise kind of horror ballad to kind of get here. Just Red Eyes Thoughts, I feel like within the pitch behind it. But Red Eyes thoughts, just the concept of being dredged out some of that particular type fair, whether it is just super stoned, getting crunk, some of those type moments, getting torched, smoking hella good within pitches like that, but just kind of the concept of like actually thoughts within the commerce of it, pitches like that, good drifting, and this is probably the most makeshift of the songs here. Now, think about it, this particular song is really good, but it's just kind of the concept that it's only really one verse. You get the hook on here a couple of times, but it's just really about halfway through the song, it just switches to like more chat throughout the rest of the song as far as those first gonna happen. This probably could have had a lot more connect. This probably could have been a pretty decent like buzz and relative kind of horrorcore pop single within the pitch behind it, but good type pitch, but it's just kind of the aspect that it's not really as much. It's kind of a half song. It's not like it's not to say it's like a half song within the full bound quality of it, but it's just kind of the pitch. It doesn't have three verses within that typical format as to how those fairs can have. So it's just good type pitch, but good type song. Another one that's pretty similar to like some pop rap grabs like I was talking about within the fair, like these makeshift type moments would be Just Gonna Be Myself. It's like a hazy and beleaguered kind of commerce kind of get here, just dredgy kind of makeshift. I had to say this usual fair, it has to say pretty dark type song within the pitch. So it's kind of the product of this car commerce, just after hours, 4 o'clock p.m., 6 o'clock p.m. So those type fairs, so late September, October, November within the pitches behind it as far as those particular fairs going to happen. It's kind of the product of something that DJ Paul probably would have chosen for like a buzz single with one of those type pitches. When you think of like those songs like that he did off of Skeleton, like She Want to Be Just Like You, some of those type pitches, some of those type ones, I forget some of those type pitches that were off of Skeleton, but basically it's some of the more radio ready type numbers within pitch. Just kind of basically like a good kind of sunset gaze amidst like the commerce of your vehicle, pitches like that. Some of that particular type fair, just travel around within the particular format of it. It's good type fair for that. It's real dark type one, just hazed out within the pitch. Psycho's the vicious ones, like amidst like the night furrow, I'd have to say here, just going into overtime hours, definitely within the pitch behind it. Just some good snarl about that. Good song to get crunk to, but it's pretty productive within the sense. It's just kind of the pitch. As far as that particular, just like the song says, Psycho within the fair behind it, it has definitely the blistering kind of sadisticness about the particular format of it. But it's just kind of the concept as far as having it for like night commerce, as far as saying if you do have to go into overdrive within the pitch and just like overtime hours, some of those type pitches. If you do have to go into overdrive hours within some of those type pitches within the concept of just late type fashions within the pitch, it's just a productive type one that has the horrorcore type sense, but just has the militant type bustle, getting some stuff done within the fair. So it's a good type concept for that. I would look after it here. Another one that's kind of like that within the pitch would probably be, I'm trying to look for which one it is. Well, we'll get to that one as far as this first going to happen. Gun High is a nice one here. It's like a vintage kind of 3-6 Mafia vibes about this particular song here. Just snack run, kind of night traffic, some of those particular type fairs. Just Taco Bell run, some of those particular aspects. Just Tibble for 3-6 Mafia, the sort of stuff that folks like Project Pat, Juicy J, DJ Paul, some of these folks do on like a regular fashion. Just some local bustled kind of motion as far as those fairs going to happen. Not All There is a pretty nice one as well. It's like an in-between moments, kind of in a terror sense type song within the pitch. Just definitely a good song to pay a phone bill, order pizza, some of those particular type fairs. It's a good song for thoughts as far as those fairs can have with it. So just the product, not necessarily as much vicious within the concept of social commotion within the pitch, but just kind of the fair, just traverse in mind, just typical kind of air and run, some of those type pitches. It is quieter. Kind of quieter moments of just kind of within rumination, just while being out and about within the pitch. It's just horrorcore type fair of just getting bills paid, some of those pitches like that. Simple kind of tasks, like I said, order pizza, some of those type pitches within it. Phone bill, electric bill, some of that particular type fair. Addict is a nice one as well. This is a real excellent type one. This goes like a good combination with Gun High. It's like a resident kind of vicious terror throwback to kind of get. Addict is like some resident kind of vicious terror to kind of get here, just throwback kind of horrorcore heat. I would definitely say reminds of like King Gordy, pitches like that, some of those type fairs. Bizarre, definitely some of those particular type folks. It's like a goth gem to kind of get here. So this particular album's pretty hitting with some of these morose kind of piano songs, pitches like that. A lot of these gothic type ones, the organ, some of these particular type fairs that kind of go along with it, just the hauntingness. Really to like a T. I mean, this fits like the scene as far as those fairs. Obviously, within the album cover, you would think this album goes great for fall pitches like that. September, October, November, December, the beginning of December within some of those type pitches. It's a good product for that relative type pitch behind it, but it's kind of aspects basically like getting just like an offshoot of a 3-6 Mafia. I mean, if you take 3-6 Mafia without the southern flavor about it and just apply it to more of like their more kind of leery and kind of more horrific type days, horrific in a good way type days within the pitch, is basically the product of some of these offshoots within the fair. It's pretty easy to live in this neighborhood as far as horrorcore. There's actually some good concepts when you get into the routine of listening to folks like Brother Lynch and Bizarre and like King Gordy and these sorts of folks, Lord Infamous, on a pretty routine, regular type basis, it just gets enraptured to the point where you can get lost in some of these type places for all. It's definitely what I did back in 2015. Not that I don't know, I do still nowadays, but there's just a lot more that goes on. But so within the pitch, as far as saying, so I think one of the productive type ones that I was talking about that's pretty similar to Psycho is Come Back to Hell. It's like a woozy kind of night drifting dredge kind of get here. Just typical kind of torment about this one. Real good horrorcore kind of slammer here. So yeah, just a real freakish type one and Come Back to Hell. Really like the song title pitch like that. Just some of these aspects that are just like these demonized type fares within pitch behind a definite some Red Eyes type music and like the autumn embrace and ambience of it as far as what's going to happen. Livewire is a vintage one as well as like a stock dark and morose kind of night comedy to kind of get here just every day in like a terror sense that I'd say just the aspect of some of that just marinations pitches like that within the aspect of typical horrorcore type conduct within it. It's like some good goth ambience kind of get here. So this feels like a 3-6 Mafia song just with like a shot in the arm as far as like the typical horrorness about it. So just that same sort of format like this 90s 3-6 Mafia, some of those type pitches in the aspect, just real horrific type tone. Some of these type fares here. Duck is a quality one as well. This one has a little bit more jive about it. This is like a blend of trap and horrorcore, I'd say here. Good frat commotion, kind of get within the aspects. Just grab around to snack some of those particular type fares, toke up within some of those type pitches. So, I mean, within the aspect of it, you think within the fare. One thing about horrorcore is it's kind of here and there. Is it doesn't these sometimes when these albums don't have singles, it doesn't display in your face as far as the songs to designate which as to which ones are going to be for you and your pals, as opposed to the ones that are just solo for. As opposed to the ones that are just solo for dolo type fare where you're just going to be driving around or having snack runs, getting tasks, getting like lighters and goodies, pitches like that, bills paid, some of those particular type fares. So it is kind of the commotion as far as saying having some jaunt nights within the pitch, like some social kind of mess hall type music. Duck is definitely one of those type ones. Vengeance is one of those type ones as well within pitches like that. But Duck definitely nails that particular appeal. Just has some good balance about it. Vengeance, like I said, is a good 1-2 punch with that particular song. It's like a haunting kind of mess hall turn up to kind of get here. Just some October jaunts, definitely I'd say. Just social night with pals, I'd say. Just usual fare for that. So this kind of the concept of being wide awake and coming alive in like the night fair as far as those pitch can happen. Just an overall just jivey and fun type song within the pitch as far as the spark of some turn up within the fair behind. So it's a good product for that. I don't think I talk about intro either, but intro's like a pounding and harrowing kind of intro kind of get here. Just typical kind of terror. It's like some typical kind of terror here to kind of get within the fares of it. Just demon time commute. I would definitely feel like woke up late. Just overall lit song within the pitch behind it. Good type fare for that. Intro is like a good 1-2 punch that goes along with basically Vengeance, some of those type ones within pitch behind. So a good type fare. So just kind of within the aspect of it as far as those pitch kind of happen. So just overall pretty haunting package type album within the pitch behind it. Plenty of good jaunts on here as far as those fares can happen. Just in between like gas station runs, snack runs, some of those type pitches, a few smokish songs. Not terribly many dance venue songs within the pitch as far as like some social step out. There are some moments for like house party type appeal and more local type fare within the pitch, whether it is backyard fun or pitches like that. Just more neighborhood bound pitches like that, smoking around the neighborhood, some of those type fares. But it's just in the pitch as far as saying concept about it in terms of like more Dracula-esque type stuff, where you would be at like a haunting kind of venue, something like that, of like some step out and some stunt time music. It's not as full bound kind of on here. I'd say probably about from apart from like the only song I didn't recommend on here, which is Get You Touched within the aspect of it. That's like the only real true one I would feel like that has relative some degree of like a more bravado type commotion with something a little bit louder. But didn't recommend that one within pitch, but just would have to say. So is this the concept as far as saying just an overall good product like the night type fare, just the pitch behind October Life, November Life, September Life, some of those type pitches, just harvest season type product. Good type fare, 10 out of 10 score. So the social score I'll probably give a 9.75. As a result of that, just looking after the fact that this album didn't have a single, which it definitely should have, I'd look within the aspect there's at least 2 good choices. Like, I feel like in terms of like pop horrorcore, something that probably could have risen to radio, I think, wow, if it would have had another verse on there. And then like Just Gonna Be Myself would have been some nice pitches for some of that, just to kind of get a little bit, just to bridge the gap as far as those aspects going to happen with like the tone, as far as saying like something that would have had a little bit of less a learning curve to establish. But within the pitch, it's not that difficult, the learning curve to establish upon horrorcore within the pitch. It's just dark product within the pitch as far as like more vicious type conduct and like the standard fare what typically kind of goes on. So it's just like getting a way harrowing and darker version of 3-6 Mafia albums within the pitch, just a little bit more sadistic. It's just within the pitch, just didn't have the promotion, just kind of conduct. And the only other thing I would slash it for is just the concept as far as saying it just didn't have like a night venue type song within the pitch. It's something dance club for some sort of step out within some sort of. I think it just needed some sort of song for like getting the juggalettes and the dark honeys kind of twerking as far as those pitches can happen, just within the aspect, something within that aspect. But other than that, pretty much has the vicious aspect pretty full bound. But yeah, this would say 9.75 social. In terms of the future, In terms of future, the unfortunate aspect is Lord Infamous is deceased, so within particular type fairs, that's about all that can particularly be done. Definite, very unfortunate aspect within the tones behind it, but I look after here, this is a classic album, easy enough to kind of see within those pitches. He does have way more albums. It's not like he only has one or two or three or fours. He's got plenty of these. He does have some projects with the Mafia 6. I do need to get the Mafia 6's 2015 album, some of those type pitches within the tone behind. So there's plenty more to get to. The stuff he did with 3-6 Mafia, plenty of his solo albums, and he even had a group that was kind of a part of a horrorcore collective. I forget what it's called, but I looked it up on Rate Your Music. He does have a group that was kind of an offshoot for a little while that was in like 2011, 2012, 2013, around those times. So good stuff to get to. We'll definitely get to some more Lord Infamous, but this is a horrorcore classic here to revisit some of that particular terrifying type comic about Very Vicious.